Have you ever found yourself unable to stop thinking about someone, no matter how much time has passed? They appear in your thoughts when you least expect it, invade your dreams, and seem to have an unshakable hold on your mind. It almost feels as if they're haunting you, like an invisible force pulling them back into your consciousness. But why does this happen? Is it just a coincidence, a sign from the universe, or is there something much deeper at play? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, spent his life exploring the human psyche, unraveling the forces that shape our thoughts, emotions, and relationships. His discoveries reveal something fascinating. When someone is always on your mind, it's not just about them, it's about you. Your unconscious mind is speaking to you, trying to reveal something hidden beneath the surface of your awareness. But what is it? To understand this, we need to explore Jung's profound insights into the unconscious mind, the part of our psyche that stores emotions, memories, and desires we're not fully aware of. He believed that what we repress or ignore doesn't simply vanish. It continues to influence us in ways we don't recognize, and often this influence takes the shape of another person, someone who becomes a mirror of our deepest, unresolved inner world. Think about it. Have you ever been inexplicably drawn to someone, or found yourself fixating on a person who, rationally, you know should no longer matter to you? These experiences aren't random. They're signals from your unconscious, demanding your attention. The Anima and Animus. The hidden connection. Jung introduced a fascinating concept, the Anima and Animus, to explain these mysterious connections. According to Jung, every man carries an unconscious feminine aspect, the anima, and every woman holds an unconscious masculine aspect, the animus. These inner counterparts shape our relationships, influencing who we're drawn to and how we perceive others. When someone is constantly on your mind, it could be because they embody a part of your own psyche that's waiting to be integrated. Maybe they represent qualities you admire but haven't yet embraced in yourself. Or perhaps they reflect traits you struggle to accept. For example, if you can't stop thinking about someone, it might not actually be about them at all. Instead, they could symbolize something you unconsciously crave, or something unresolved within you. Perhaps they embody confidence, freedom, or emotional depth, qualities you long to cultivate. Or maybe they stir up past wounds, fears, or insecurities that you have yet to face. The shadow self. The unspoken truth. But there's another layer to this mystery, Jung's concept of the shadow self. The shadow is the hidden, often repressed part of our personality, the side of us we're reluctant to acknowledge. It contains our unspoken fears, desires, and traits we've rejected due to social conditioning, personal experiences, or self-judgment. Could it be that the person who lingers in your thoughts represents an aspect of your own shadow? Maybe they exhibit behaviors, emotions, or qualities that trigger something unresolved in you. More often than not, the people who stay in our minds the longest are those who reflect something we need to confront within ourselves, something we either deeply desire or deeply fear. The collective unconscious. A connection beyond the personal. This brings us to one of Jung's most groundbreaking ideas, the collective unconscious. Beyond our personal experiences, Jung believed that we all share a universal psychological blueprint, a set of emotions, symbols, and patterns inherited from generations before us. So, what if the person occupying your thoughts isn't just a personal connection, but a representation of something far greater? What if they symbolize an archetype, an image deeply embedded in your psyche, tied to universal themes of love, longing, or unresolved destiny? These psychological forces shape our attachments in ways we rarely recognize, but understanding them can bring immense clarity and freedom. Unlocking the message. Turning awareness into growth. So, how do we begin to decipher these unconscious messages? How do we reclaim control over our thoughts and break free from emotional attachments that seem to have a life of their own? In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the mechanisms of the mind, uncovering why certain connections feel so powerful and why some people remain in our thoughts long after they're gone. Most importantly, we'll explore how to transform this awareness into a powerful tool for personal growth. Because once you understand why someone is always on your mind, you will no longer be controlled by it. Reclaiming your power. You are about to learn how to take back your power. Our thoughts are not random. The human mind operates in patterns. When someone lingers in your mind, it's because there is an unresolved connection, something unprocessed within you that demands attention. But what is it that makes certain people stay in our thoughts while others fade away effortlessly? To answer this, we need to explore how our brains form emotional attachments. The science of unforgettable connections. Neuroscience shows that memories, especially those tied to strong emotions, create neural pathways that can become deeply ingrained. Every time you think about someone, you reinforce these connections, making it easier for them to return to your mind again and again. But what fuels this process? Carl Jung believed that our attachments to others are rarely about the other person alone. Instead, they are reflections of something happening within us. This is where projection comes in, a psychological mechanism where we unconsciously assign our own emotions, desires, or fears onto another person. Have you ever noticed how certain people trigger intense emotional reactions in you? Perhaps someone's presence makes you feel deeply insecure, or another person ignites a powerful longing. More often than not, these reactions aren't truly about them. They are about what they represent in your own psyche. For example, if you can't stop thinking about someone who rejected you, it might not just be because you miss them. It could be that they triggered an old wound, perhaps a fear of abandonment or a deep-seated belief that you are not enough. Your mind keeps returning to them, not because they are the key to your happiness, but because your subconscious is trying to resolve something much older, something that existed long before they entered your life. Similarly, if you find yourself obsessing over someone who seems emotionally unavailable, it could be that they mirror a pattern from your past, a dynamic you are unconsciously repeating. Jung believed that the unconscious mind seeks wholeness, and sometimes that means recreating old wounds so that we can finally heal them. Synchronicity, meaningful connections or mere coincidence. But there is an even deeper layer to this mystery. Jung's concept of synchronicity suggests that sometimes the people who enter our lives are not mere coincidences. They are meaningful connections, meant to teach us something about ourselves. Have you ever noticed strange coincidences surrounding someone? Maybe you keep seeing their name in unexpected places. Perhaps songs that remind you of them seem to play at just the right moment, or maybe you dream about them just before they reach out. Jung argued that these moments are not mere chance. They are reflections of the interconnectedness between our psyche and the world around us. But here's the key: whether these recurring thoughts stem from unresolved wounds, projection, or synchronicity, the real question is, what can you do about it? How can you stop being trapped by these recurring thoughts and regain control over your mind? Breaking free, awareness, integration, and detachment. The first step is awareness. The more conscious you become of your own psychological patterns, the less power they have over you. Instead of simply reacting to your thoughts, start asking deeper questions. What does this person represent to me? What emotion do they trigger? What pattern am I repeating? The second step is integration. Jung believed that true psychological growth comes from integrating the unconscious into conscious awareness. If someone is always on your mind, it could mean that a part of yourself, an unhealed wound, an ignored desire, or an unresolved fear is asking to be acknowledged. Instead of resisting these thoughts, explore them, write about them, reflect on them. Try to see what they reveal about your inner world. And finally, the most powerful step: detachment. Detachment doesn't mean suppressing your thoughts or forcing yourself to forget. True detachment comes from understanding that your thoughts are messages, not commands. You are not your thoughts. When you become aware of why someone is always on your mind, you gain the power to let go, not because you are forcing yourself to, but because you no longer need to hold on. The final revelation. But there is one more crucial insight, perhaps the most powerful of all. A final revelation that will completely change how you see your thoughts and attachments. If you have ever struggled to stop thinking about someone, you know how exhausting it can be. It feels as though they have taken up permanent residence in your mind, appearing at random moments, intruding on your peace, triggering emotions you can't seem to control. But here's the truth: these thoughts are not happening to you. They are happening for you. They are messengers from your unconscious, guiding you towards something deeper within yourself. Carl Jung believed that every thought, every feeling, and every persistent memory has meaning. Nothing in the human psyche is random. When someone is always on your mind, it's not because they hold some magical power over you. It's because your unconscious is using them as a symbol for something unresolved. And once you understand what that is, you will be free. Breaking free. Understanding emotional loops. You can free yourself from their hold. But before we explore how to break free, we need to understand one more crucial concept: emotional loops. Your brain is wired to seek closure. When an emotional experience is left unresolved, your mind keeps revisiting it, searching for answers, resolution, or a sense of completion. This is why the people who leave us with unanswered questions, unfinished conversations, or unresolved emotions tend to linger in our thoughts the longest. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the ones who occupy your mind the most are often those with whom something feels incomplete? Maybe they left without an explanation. Maybe the relationship ended abruptly. Or maybe they represent something you never fully experienced. Your mind keeps circling back to them, not because you need them, but because your unconscious is trying to resolve what was left open. Jung referred to this as individuation, the process of integrating all parts of ourselves, both the known and the unknown. Until you integrate what this person represents, your mind will continue to bring them back. Not because they are special, but because there is something within you that needs to be acknowledged. How to break free from this cycle? Step 1. Recognizing the symbolism. The first step is recognizing that your thoughts are not about the person, they are about what they symbolize. Instead of asking, "Why can't I stop thinking about them?" Zrenia ask, "What do they represent to me? Do they symbolize love, freedom, security, or something I feel I lack? Do they reflect an unresolved wound, a fear, or a hidden desire?" Step 2. Creating closure for yourself. Most people believe closure must come from an external source, that the other person needs to explain, apologize, or return. But Jung's teachings reveal something far more powerful. Closure is an internal process. You don't need someone else to give you peace, you need to give it to yourself. One effective way to do this is through symbolic closure, writing a letter you will never send, having an imaginary conversation, or performing a small ritual that represents letting go. Your unconscious mind responds to symbolism, so creating your own moment of closure can be incredibly effective in breaking the cycle. Step 3. Turning your focus inward. The third and most powerful step is shifting your focus inward. Instead of pouring your energy into wondering about this person, redirect that energy into understanding yourself. Ask, what does my fixation on them reveal about my personal growth? What lesson is my unconscious trying to teach me? Jung often spoke of the self, the highest, most integrated version of who we are. Every unresolved attachment, every lingering thought is an invitation to step closer to that version of ourselves. When you stop focusing on the external and start looking within, something incredible happens. The thoughts lose their power. The person who once seemed like an obsession becomes a mere symbol, and once you understand the message, the symbol no longer needs to appear. The final revelation: it was never about them. But there is one last truth, perhaps the most transformative of all. A realization that, once understood, will forever change the way you see your mind, your emotions, and the people who occupy your thoughts. And that truth is this: it was never about them. It was always about you. Jung believed that every person we fixate on, every lingering thought, and every emotional attachment we struggle to break is a projection of something within ourselves. The reason someone seems to have such a strong hold on your mind is not because they are special or unique in some mystical way. It is because they represent an aspect of you that you have yet to fully embrace, understand, or heal. The ultimate truth: you hold the power. Jung's concept of wholeness teaches that the goal of psychological growth is not to eliminate parts of ourselves, but to integrate them. The people who dominate our thoughts are often mirrors of something we need to see, whether it's a hidden wound, an unmet desire, or a forgotten part of ourselves that we are being called to reclaim. So ask yourself, what does this person reflect back to me? Are they a symbol of love, validation, or belonging? Things I feel I lack within myself. Do they embody confidence, passion, or freedom, qualities I secretly wish to develop? Or do they trigger deep fears, insecurities, and wounds from my past, things I have been avoiding? Once you see the pattern, you can break free from its hold. The most powerful realization: everything you seek is already within you. The truth is, no one controls your mind but you. The more you focus on your own inner world, your growth, your healing, your self-discovery, the less power any single person will have over you. And here's the most powerful realization of all: what you seek in others already exists within you. Jung believed that the qualities we admire in others are often aspects of ourselves that we have not yet owned. If you are drawn to someone's confidence, it's because confidence is a part of you that is waiting to be awakened. If you are obsessed with someone's love, it's because there is a part of you that longs to give that same love to yourself. The moment you realize this, the attachment begins to fade. Not because you are forcing yourself to forget, but because you no longer need to hold on. The energy that was once spent fixating on someone else is now redirected toward your own evolution. This is how true freedom begins. The thoughts will no longer control you. The emotional loops will lose their grip. And the person who once seemed impossible to forget will become exactly what they were always meant to be, a lesson that led you back to yourself. So now the question is no longer, why is this person always on my mind? The real question is, what is my mind trying to teach me? And once you answer that, you will no longer feel trapped by your thoughts. You will be free.